So, with that, you're in for a treat. It's very rare that I get to invite someone who's a personal friend of mine that I've known for a long, long time, but I'm about to do that right now. It's somebody I met on this growth journey about 15 years ago. He's been to my home and stayed there. I've been to his home and stayed there. He's someone I've seen grow incredibly over the last 15 years. He's been involved in business for more than 20 years, and the thing I love about the man I'm about to bring on stage, he's forever creating something out of nothing. Even just yesterday when I saw him for the first time in a couple of months, he just told me a story about how he bought just this magnificent brand new car, and he may tell you the story about how he bought it, but he's always just creating these incredible experiences and these incredible business opportunities out of nothing. So if you'd like to learn today how to actually start a business with no money, who'd like to learn how to start a business with no money? Who'd like to do that? Please say yes. And I'm not talking a little business, I'm not talking a little homespun business from home, I'm talking a significantly huge business. You know, one of Peter's recent ventures where he started and created a business, a space-based solar power station or business that was really involving billions and billions of dollars. He's a man who has incredible experience at starting up and then selling off very successful companies and then starting from scratch all over again. He's been chairman of some of the largest personal development organizations around the world, does an incredible amount of charity work, and just for fun likes to do stuff like the Marathon des Sables, if you know what that is, which is a wild and crazy 4 or 5 day race across the Sahara Desert. So he's a great athlete as well. Dear friend of mine, ladies and gentlemen, please warmly put your hands together for Mr. Peter Sage. Give Peter Sage a big hand.
Feeling great, wow. It is a real pleasure to be here with you guys today. And I have to say something. I've been looking backstage while you guys are coming back from lunch, and we have some budding dance instructors here, don't we? Yeah, and some people that definitely shouldn't be. Yeah. But as I say, it's always great to be here in South Africa. I love South Africa, and I'm very excited because I get to spend the next hour to an hour and a half with you journeying through some insights that I really want to share over the best of what I've learned in the last 20 plus years. As you said, or Scott said earlier, my background is entrepreneur. I dropped out of school at 16. I have no formal qualifications. I was never really academic. I never really got on that well at school. And school for me really taught me just two things, which it tends to teach everybody from what I see, which is how to pass tests and work for somebody else. And I never really got on with that. It was always left for the entrepreneurs to find their own spark inside and go out and do something with that. And since that time, 23 years ago, I've built 22 companies somewhere on there. Some have even worked. Some have failed majestically. Some have wiped me out. Some have, should have stayed ideas when I was drunk. Some have made millions. Some have lost millions, and everything in between. And really what I want to do today is to bring all of that experience to the stage, all of that experience to the room, and share with you the best of what it is that I've learned, some of the most painful mistakes, some of the most insightful ideas, and hopefully at the end of this you'll be able to walk away and make an immediate impact on what it is that you're doing to basically create wealth for yourselves. Does that sound like something you'd like to do? Excellent, because that's really what my hobby is. I love business. In fact, where are we? Yeah. Making more money in your life made easier. We don't want to make it hard. And I put here the keys to wealth and fulfillment you won't find in business school. That's because I never went. I mean, ironically, I actually sit on the board now of one of the world's top business schools in INSEAD, Fontainebleau in Paris. And I'm the only non-graduate they've ever invited. I'm kind of the token idiot, I guess. But there's a reason I put the keys to wealth and fulfillment, my friends, and that's because there is a difference. How many people know people who are wealthy but are not fulfilled? You see, unfortunately, most people think that if you don't have money, that all your problems will go away when you get money, and that's never the case. The reason people think that is because people that don't have enough money, most of their immediate problems are centered around the fact that they don't have enough money. They're struggling to pay a mortgage on Friday. They want to eat off the right side instead of the left side of the menu. And the challenge is, as anyone who's made money and become wealthy will tell you, that problems do not go away, they actually get bigger. Now, they're quality problems, and you can usually arrive at them in style. But money is not the source of getting rid of your problems. That's the first thing I'll put out there. Fulfillment is different. You know, I spend a lot of time in Africa. I love Africa. I actually live in Dubai. And if you ever want to see a place that isn't real, it's very plastic fantastic. I mean, if you can keep your feet on the ground, stay grounded, and you know, play Dubai on your terms, it offers a great lifestyle. And I'm a sunshine guy. I come from England. I never saw the sun until I was 12. Right, so I went to Dubai because I love the weather. It's also very centrally located, and I guess the tax situation helps too. But in terms of actually coming to Africa, I love coming here. I spent a lot of time in Tanzania. I started charities in Tanzania. I'm patron of 2 charities in the UK. I spent time in the slums in Guguledu over in Cape Town, where I'm going tomorrow, just because it reminds me what's real. And what's real is that I've met some of the most, what we would call disadvantaged people in the world financially, who are probably the most fulfilled. Why? Because it rained yesterday. Or they got an extra spoon of rice. It's about keeping it real. And so, although I'm going to be sharing with you a lot of stuff over the next sort of hour or so as we journey together, I still want to remind us what's real. It's not about trying to make money so we can be happy. That's a hamster wheel to nowhere, as I'll demonstrate. Anyway, there's 5 ways you can generally get money. One is you can earn it. This is the toughest way, and it's the way that most people usually try. Swapping time for money. And it's very inefficient. Bearing in mind that the only way you will ever get money is by giving something first for it if you're trying to earn it, whether it's 40 hours a week or a product or service or a job that you're involved in. But if you wanted to stay and just do time for money, if you earned, let's say $100 an hour, it's not a bad hourly rate. Anyone that's on an hourly rate, $100 an hour is a pretty good rate. But if you were earning $100 an hour and you were working a 40-hour week and you never spent 1 penny and you never got taxed 1 cent, you still wouldn't be a millionaire in 50 years. You see, earning money is very inefficient. You can inherit it. That's another way you can do it. But unfortunately, you've got to be part of what I call the lucky sperm gang. It doesn't happen for all of us. I certainly didn't qualify for that. I was born on a council estate in the middle of Leicester in England, and my parents, we were never in poverty, but we were never well off. But inheriting is not really something that I'd encourage. I never want unearned income. It proves a curse sooner or later, tears families apart, and there's a whole other seminar on that. You could steal it. Good luck with that. You could win it. There's obviously all the national lotteries, etc. In England, it's 14 million to 1 to win the lottery. 14 million to 1, and people still do it. As opposed to, if you look at across history, any country, any culture, any point in time, 5% of people retire in any sort of shape financially, let alone emotionally, spiritually, or otherwise. 5%, 1 in 20, which means if you're going to start a business or you're going to go out and try and make money, which is the best way, the next way, then you've got a 1 in 20 chance of doing that rather than 14 million to 1 in terms of winning the lottery, certainly in the UK. And what I want to share with you, say, over the next hour is some secrets, some tips on how to make sure that that 20 to 1 goes to 1 to 1. Sound good? Marvelous. So here's the facts. I'm going to run through them quickly because we don't have much time. And guys, there's so much I do want to share with you in the next time I've got. And I don't really have as much time as I would like because some of the syntax issues, they've had to cut me short a little bit. So I'm going to talk fast. Please feel free to listen as quickly as you can. But here's the facts. 85% of companies will never reach £1 million, about 13 million rand in sales. Over 95 will never reach 5 million, 98 will never get to 10, and only 1 in 25 companies these days lasts even 10 years. That's sad figures, right? Why? Is it the product or the service, yes or no? Some people think yes, some people think no. I'm here to say it's not. I'll demonstrate. Just picture right now, what is the nicest, juiciest, tastiest burger, or veggie burger for the others, that you've ever tasted? Just picture it. See how it was fresh, it was juicy, it was big. Now, is anybody in their mind's eye looking at McDonald's? 2 people on drugs, right? Okay, no, McDonald's do not make the best hamburgers. They just sell more than anybody else. Why is that? It's down to systems. It's down to something far more than the product or service. I spent a lot of time coaching CEOs that think they had the formula because they had a great product or a service or a price point, and it's nothing to do with that, as we'll get on. So what are some of the biggest challenges in business? Anyone here actually currently in business, run their own business? Any entrepreneurs in the room, CEOs, managing directors? Yeah, quite a few of you, fabulous. So I'm going to ask you to shout out. Normally I get somebody up on stage to write because my handwriting clearly demonstrates I was a doctor in a past life or something. But if you could just shout out, what are some of the main challenges in business for those that are in business? Cash flow, one of them. Marketing. Sorry? Skills. Yeah. Hiring the right people. What else? Sales, marketing, finance. Yeah, all of these different things. And I hear many of the challenges, and I'm going to try and solve most of those on stage with you today. But if I was to say, or ask you what the biggest challenge is, it's the skills or the mindset of the entrepreneur every single time. You see, businesses only go out of business for one reason, my friends. It's not the economy. It's not the fact your CFO was embezzling. It's not the fact that your product didn't catch up with the marketplace. Businesses go out of business because they're mismanaged. Case closed. So ask yourself the question, not what business do I start or what business do I build? Ask yourself, who do I need to become in order to make my business a success? And we start there with probably the first correct step in moving forward. Yeah? What kind of person grows a company to £1 million, or 5, or 10, or 100, or as you're going to be hearing shortly, from somebody who's built several companies to over $1 billion? Same 2 arms, same 2 legs, same nervous system, same biochemistry. All that happens is they think differently. And that's really where it always starts. So getting to $1 million, I'm here to tell you, is easy. Yeah, well, not exactly, but I can guarantee any one of you here working hard, put the right focus in, give the right bit of elbow grease, can probably build a company to $1 million. It's about 13 million rand a year, working half days. Now, entrepreneurs in the room, how long's a half day? 12 hours. Okay. So if you work hard, you can usually increase your sales, but maybe to 2 million, but you're never going to get to 5 million just on hard work, and you're certainly not going to get past that. Yeah. So another question for you, see who's awake after lunch. How many people here would like to make or earn 10 times more than they're earning now? Keep your hand held high, nice and proud, if you'd like to do it by working 10 times more hours a week than you're currently working right now. You see, the good news is, my friends, you can't work 10 times harder, but you don't have to. The good news is you're going to have to work smarter, not harder, and that's what I want to teach you. And again, I'm compressed for time, so I'm going to try and work on as many key areas, but my outcome here is to give you as much value as I can. Here's my promise. I'm going to give you an outstanding educational experience if A, you're awake, and B, you take notes. I'm not going to hold anything back. You're going to learn some immediately applicable, faster, smarter, easier ways to make more money right now and grow your company, so that if you never see me again, you walk out of the door an hour from now, you're going to have something that'll create a result today. Sound fair? Thank you. And at the end, if I serve you, and only if I serve you, then there's obviously some other ways to help. But here's what I'm going to say. This isn't everybody run to the back 5 minutes to go, cut this price, used to be this, blah, blah. I'm not here to do that, guys. All right? I appreciate that. And, what I am here to do is to say, look, I do have something that I can share. I do have a workshop I'm going to bring. If it feels right for you, come and join me. If it doesn't, no big deal. All right? But what I want to do is to tell you guys, forget all of that for the next hour. Let's focus on seeing what I can do to put into your mind something that can create massive value that you can go out and create a result with today. Deal? Deal. Perfect. Okay, let's get going. Core competencies of all great entrepreneurs. The key to working smarter, not harder, is to focus on small areas of impact, 12 specific areas of impact, that if you focus just on those rather than run around like a headless chicken, you're going to create immediate benefit onto your company. Now, these impact areas will instantly create value and improve what it is that you're doing if you focus only on those. Too many people get caught up in chasing the rabbit, running on the hamster wheel, running down tunnels with no cheese. That's not what we want to do. It's too easy for entrepreneurs to get caught up in that. I spent many years doing it. But here's what I want to do. I'm going to give you a crash course right now on 4 of those competencies, if I have time. What I might do, depending on how I read you guys and how we interact together over the next hour, I might cut that to 3. If we do have time, then I'll try and make it 4. But either way, I'm going to give you everything I can in the time I've got. So here's the first competency. And I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it is the most important one. Developing the right mental foundation. Because unfortunately, most people, right at the beginning, start businesses for the wrong reasons. Or they get involved in companies that, for the wrong reasons. And for me, myself, certainly in my early days, in my 20s, it was all about trying to prove I was good enough. It was all about trying to get over insecurities as a young man to try and show the world that even though my teacher said I'd never amount to anything, that I could still do something. And it was a two-edged sword. On one hand, it made me successful because I was working hard, but on the other hand, there was no fulfillment. And I see and meet a lot of people that spend all their time climbing the tree, getting to the top, only to realize they're in the wrong jungle. And it's no fun, because you design yourself into the equation where you get trapped. And it's very hard once you start climbing halfway up to let go. But the right mental foundation, what does that really consist of? Well, I get asked all the time, what is the one key to becoming a successful entrepreneur? Everybody always wants the one key, don't they? What's the golden pill? What's the one rule? And there's many rules. Life is an orchestra, not an instrument. But if I was to share with you one insight, one distinction, one organizing principle that I've seen time and again make the difference between successful entrepreneurs and those that just get the bat off their shoulder barely and take a swing at life, it would be this: the ability to handle uncertainty. In fact, Tony Robbins, a gentleman I've had the very good fortune of working with for the last several years, states it beautifully. He says that the quality of our life is in direct proportion to the amount of uncertainty we can comfortably live with. Say that again, Tony. The quality of our life is in direct proportion to the amount of uncertainty we can comfortably live with. Very profound. But when you start to understand there is no certainty in life, certainty doesn't exist anywhere in nature. The only difference is the tree doesn't stand there worrying if it's going to get blown down by a storm tomorrow, unless it's in Cape Town, right? So the ability to handle uncertainty. Well, you see, here's how most people handle uncertainty, or if they're given an opportunity, for example. Most people come to an event like this, they take their time, they get their liquid capital, and they're presented with an opportunity, and they're like, oh, quick, let me just dip my toe in. Yeah, anyone know any of those guys? Yeah, the sort of toe dippers, right? And they say, oh, look, so they take their liquid capital and they pour a little bit in like that. Oh, not too much, don't want to risk it. What happens if it fails? Yeah. Oh, it seemed okay, let's try it a little bit more. Oh, okay, starting to get with it now. Yeah, things not going too badly. Yeah, okay, I might risk a little bit more, right? And I start pouring more and more in, but nowhere in nature have I seen, my friends, it support the notion that tentative is power. Doesn't. Tentative is no power. The challenge is if you embrace opportunities in life a little bit at a time, rather than swing the bat, then you're really going to be the Johnny-come-latelys. You're really going to be getting the crumbs of the people that decided to take action and move forward. The challenge is that most people live with the fact that, oh, well, what happens if my entire world falls upside down, everything will tip out? Well, guess what? No, it doesn't. Right? Now, your fears are an illusion. I'll guarantee that. Not that it means anything what I'm going to say for the next 5 minutes, because you're trying to figure out how I did that. Right? But seriously, you're going to have to learn how to take risks. Right? I want to share with you, if I may, just for the time that we have, everything I learned about taking risks in a 60-second experience. Would you like to know what that was? Yeah? Okay. You seem like a pretty switched-on bunch. I just want to do a quick sanity check here. How many people have ever jumped out of a perfectly good airplane? I thought I was in the right room. Okay, quite a few of you. And for me, I'm a skydiver. I skydive to relax. And it's a beautiful sport, and I always wanted to skydive, and ever since my mum caught me jumping out of the apple tree at 6 years old with an umbrella. It was always going to happen. And so what happened was, a few years back, I decided I was going to make this happen. I was going to take action. And again, I told you I come from England. You can never skydive in England because the cloud base is always 2,000 feet. So I went to Florida. Guaranteed weather, nice and beautiful. And I thought, I'm going to go and get my license. So I took a week off out of my business and I flew to Florida. And I thought, well, it can't be that tough, can it? I mean, you jump out of an airplane, you pull a cord, gravity does the work. I was quite wrong. I got there and I wasn't expecting the amount of overwhelm and ground training that I had to go through. I sat for 8 hours of classroom training as soon as I got there. I had to learn everything about what your equipment does, how it works, what happens if it goes wrong, all about aerodynamics, plane entry and exit procedures, hand signals in the air, wind patterns. I mean, it was overwhelming. And as you've heard some of the speakers say, the emotional route is that overwhelm usually leads to confusion, which usually leads to inaction. In other words, people learn so much they do nothing. And for me, I was like, whoa, hang on a minute. I just need to go back to the hotel. I just need to get my brain back right. I was looking for certainty. And so what happened was I was just about to go out of the door, go back to the hotel, read my notes, and the instructor comes running in. He says, hey, Pete, guess what? There's one slot left on the last jump of the day, the sunset load. We're on it. Uh-oh. Anyway, I walked back in the room, I put my jumpsuit on, I got my rig together, and we walked out to the plane. And for your first jump in skydiving, your first solo jump, you actually go with 2 instructors. They're not attached to you like a tandem, but they jump out either side, and I guess, if you forget to pull your cord, they remind you, right? So I go out, and I get on the plane, and it's full of experienced skydivers. And there's one other guy on there as well, also his first jump, also with his 2 instructors. And I look across, and he's like this. In fact, I don't even think he's breathing. And I'm watching this guy. Anyway, we belt up, the engine's cut in, we hurtle down the runway, we start to take off, and we're circling to altitude. We get to about 2,000 meters. And all of a sudden, there's an energy in the plane, and the other skydivers are getting excited, and I look over at this other guy. Still not breathing. We get to 10,000 feet, 14,000 feet eventually, with like 3-4 kilometers above the clouds. You can't even see the ground. And the red light comes on, and everybody starts getting excited. The door opens, and this icy blast comes in. And then the green light comes on, and all of the experienced skydivers, they get up, and they go to the door, and they high-five, and they somersault, backflip, and they're gone into the abyss. It's just me, this other guy, and our 2 instructors left each inside the plane. Anyway, he's nearest the door. He goes first. I'm happy with that. He gets up, and he walks, and he shuffles, and his entire physiology is just like, when you just know somebody's not going to do it? And he's like, and he grabs hold of the handles. And the first instructor turns around and gives a question. It's a legal question on your first jump in America for insurance purposes. He says, are you ready to skydive? And you've got to give a positive answer. And he's like this. Nothing. This guy. Are you ready to skydive? Right? And I'm looking and thinking, he's not going to go. Anyway, he looks out. He breathes. He lets go, closes his eyes, and he jumps. Back inside the plane. Right? And I'm thinking, it ain't going to happen, right? Anyway, the instructors, they're quite professional. They see this all the time. They get him back in state. They get his belief system in place. They bring him out. Okay, he's back in the door. Are you ready to skydive? I'm thinking, jump. Right? He's like, are you ready to skydive? Right? Nothing. I think that's it. Forget it. Sit down. My go. Last instructor, last time. He goes, John, are you ready to skydive? He looks up. He goes, no. Right? This guy goes, what was that? Go, and throws him out. Right? And then they jump out after him. I'm like this. And I go to my instructors, I says, did you see that? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, why did they do that? And I'll never forget what they said. They said, well, it's quite simple, really. If you don't jump, we don't get paid. You know, I'm like, ever had those moments in life where you always knew it was ever going to be a one-way ticket, right? And I'm like, okay, you know, I'm in a perfectly good airplane that I've never jumped out of before. I've never flown a canopy. I've got 16 things to do in order and sequence when I leave the plane in order to pass my first exam. I've got all this stuff to remember that my life depends upon remembering, and the only two guys I'm left in the plane with have a financial incentive for throwing me out. I mean, it was yeah, sometimes you just need a dig in the ribs, right? And life will come and do it. Anyway, so we take so long on this guy, we have to recircle back to the drop zone. We come up, I'm like, okay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Get up. Okay, 15,000 feet, okay, I can do this, 1, 2, 3. Guy goes, are you ready to skydive? I'm thinking, you're having a laugh. Like it makes a difference. Right? Okay, I can do this, Pete. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. That's a long way down. No, wrong focus. Come on, I can do this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and go. Whoa, whoo, and arch, and whoo. Oh, I'm falling. Whoa, okay, and check altitude. 10,000 feet and falling. Instructor 1, check. Instructor 2, check. And instructions. Okay, practice ripcord pull. Here we go. 1, 2, and go. Circle of awareness. Check. Altitude 7,000. Locking on. And knees bent more. Arch more. So relax, easy for you to say. Okay, here we go. 6,000 feet, we're going on 5.5, locking on, ready, 1, 2, 3, here we go. And, please open. And I went from 220 kilometers an hour to 30 kilometers an hour in 3 seconds, which taught me something else that day. You should never really get your straps wrong. But I came through, I landed perfectly on the drop zone, and it was like the most incredible experience. And I even saw the guy they pushed, he was on the ground too. He had this huge smile from here to here. I don't know if it was because he enjoyed it or he was glad to be alive, but I never saw him again. Right? So I'm there, and I'm rolling up my chute, still full of adrenaline, and I suddenly start to realize something like, whoa, hang on a minute. What just happened? When I was in the airplane, I was anxious, I was confused, I was overwhelmed, I got all of this emotion going on. The second I stepped out of that plane, everything changed. Fear, gone, left it in the airplane. Overwhelmed, haven't got time, I'm in the moment. Anxiety, too late, I'm falling. And it made me realize how many times in our lives have we sat inside the plane. Part of us, more from our heart, knew it was time to jump, and our brain kept us where it was that we were sat down. How many opportunities, how many people that we didn't speak to, how many girls, guys that we didn't ask out, how many situations that we've consistently learned to talk ourselves out rationally when all we needed to do was step out of the plane. You got a lot of opportunities here this weekend, a lot of green lights. Some of you are going to jump, some of you are going to grab hold of it. Some of you might forget your parachute. And some of you are going to sit there like we do all the time and say, just isn't right, maybe next time. Hoping that next time the plane will be a little lower, that it won't be as far to jump, that you'll be a little more experienced, that the guys with you don't want to push you, or what have you. And life doesn't work that way. Life works on many different rules. And unfortunately, unless you learn how to take risks and how to manage the risks in your life, you're going to be sitting this side of possibility locked in without being able to squeeze the drop out of what it is that you need to do for the day to feel exhausted but victorious at night. Too many of us play too safe, my friends. And when you understand there is no certainty, it makes it easy to jump. Anyway, next competency. What I call capital versus initiative. I'm excited to share this with you because it's kind of my baby. And really, this is where I learned to build companies with no money because I didn't have any. When I was 17-year-old, that sort of age where you've got bags of enthusiasm and no capital. And there's no banks in life that are going to sort of bet you because you've got no collateral. Banks are great. They give you an umbrella when it's sunny and take it away when it's raining. We all know that. But if you can understand what I'm going to share with you here on this one concept alone, then it's going to change everything. And there's 2 keys to it, and I'm going to give you 2 examples. I wish I had time to give you 4, 5, 20 examples. I can talk all day on this, but I just say, I know you're a smart group. You're going to get up to speed with this. I'm going to give you 2 quick examples, 2 keys to making this work. Then I'm going to have to move on. So, what are the best examples I can give? Okay. A few years ago, I got a phone call from a guy called Matt. Matt was a flower seller in my local town in Leicester. And Matt called me up one day, and he says, hey, Pete, I need to borrow £20,000. I'm like, why do you need £20,000? He says, well, there's another market trader who's selling flowers the other side of town. He's very popular. He's retiring. And, if I could get that stall as well as my stall, I'd corner both sides of town, and, I'd double my business. Everything would be great. All I need is £20,000. The bank won't lend it to me because they don't see the value in a market stall. There's no security, and my wife won't let me borrow it on the house if she wants to stay my wife, and so therefore, I just need £20,000. Now, I want to teach you something here. It's a phrase that I want you to remember and tattoo it on the inside of your eyelids. You don't need money, you need a better strategy. Let's do that together. Ready? We don't need money, we need a better strategy. Come on, guys, a bit more energy. Promise you this will pay off. We don't need money, we need a better strategy. That's right. And the way to basically make this happen is by asking yourself one question. How do I add value? I'll put these up for you. Don't need money, you need a better strategy. And the key to finding that strategy is ask yourself the most important question: how can you add value? And this was a 30-second strategy. It took me, say, no more than a minute to figure it out. But I asked the question, who benefits if Matt gets the flower stall? Who benefits? Shout them out, guys. Yeah, obviously Matt benefits. Who else? The seller, the flowers, the person selling the stall, he's going to benefit as well. Who else benefits? Who else? The guy lending the money. Well, we're not actually going for money lending at the minute, but if a bank was involved, obviously they would benefit. Who else? The customers would benefit. They'd still have flowers at both sides of town to go. Who else? The suppliers. Well done, madam. The supplier would benefit. And this is the question that I asked Matt. I says, hey, Matt, how much wholesale business do you put through your suppliers each year? He said, about $250,000. Yeah. I said, no, that's right. It was about 100 on his own stall. It was about $125,000. I said, okay. And he uses predominantly one supplier, which was in Holland. I says, well, okay. Here's what I would do. Go to your supplier in Holland and say, hey, look, I've got the ability to double my output to about $250,000 a year from what it currently is, and I'm willing to sell you the exclusive right to supply me, providing the flowers are good enough and you have what I need in stock, etc., for £5,000. Now, any flower people here, or put yourself in the mindset of the flower wholesaler in Holland, if someone is coming to guarantee and competition-proof their business to give you the exclusive supply that's worth $250,000 a year to you, would you pay $5,000 for it, yes or yes? It's a no-brainer. And if he says no, you go to his competition. You then go to the guy who's selling, the older guy, who's retiring, and say, hey, listen, I really want the stall, but I'm not going to pay you $20,000 for it. I'm going to pay you $25,000. But I'm going to pay for it over 12 months. Now, if he was retiring and took the initial $20,000 and put it in the bank, in today's interest rates, how much would he get in a year? Yeah, less than a slice of pizza. Whereas if you go to him and say, listen, I'm going to give you what effectively would be a 25% interest rate with £5,000 down and pay the rest out of the money that the flower stalls generate, everybody wins. Win, win, win. See that? Very simple strategy. But that's what we did. All comes down to how can I add value? Yeah, you want to be paying over and above what somebody's offering if you've got strings attached, but if it's creative and it serves and it comes from a place of being able to make a win-win-win for everybody, you'd be surprised how to make that work. It doesn't just work in business. Again, I wish I could give you 1,000 different strategies here, guys, but I'm against the clock. I'll share one other with you. Many years ago, I was in Hawaii. It was a Tony Robbins seminar. I was part of the leadership team. In fact, I was there with Scott. And just before the seminar, somebody comes up to me. I'm lounging by the pool. We've got a couple of hours to go. And he says, "Excuse me, are you Peter Sage?" I says, "Yes." He says, "Oh, great. Can you lend me $3,000? I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, I've borrowed the money to fly to Hawaii for this seminar. I really want to do the seminar. It's a 9-day seminar where you're learning from the best of the best." He says, "But I don't have the money to go in the room. I was hoping that if I get here, I could borrow it from somebody, but it's like 2 hours to go now, and I'm not sure what to do. And I'm hoping somebody mentioned you're a successful guy. Can I borrow $3,000? Okay, now, he doesn't need $3,000. What does he need? He needs a better strategy. Absolutely. And the question he asks himself is, how can I add value? Come on, guys, with me. How can I add value? Right. So this is what I said. I says, look, you're asking the wrong question. Yeah. I said, what you should do is go up to people and say, go up to customer service, because all of the people are starting to mill around now, ready to go into the seminar, 2,000 people. And they all have numbers on their name badges that correspond geographically to where they're from. And the theory behind that's a good theory, that is if you sit with people in the same team, and when you go home back to your community, afterwards you've still got people that in proximity to you that you went through the seminar with, and it's like a support group. It's very good. So I says, where are you from? He says, Florida. I says, go to customer service, find out which number corresponds to Florida, team 3. I says, you then look for people on team 3, you walk around for husband and wife, and you walk up and you say, excuse me. You don't say, can I borrow $3,000? You walk up and say, excuse me, do you have children? He looks at me. I says, because here's what I know. The price of this seminar is part of a package for $10,000. So most people have done the package, which means most people have invested $10,000 to do this series of seminars, including the one we're here today for $3,000. I said, if it's a husband and wife, they've invested 20 grand. I said, if you add in flights, accommodation, all the rest of it, you're probably looking at a 30 grand investment. Would somebody paying a 30 grand investment, right, go up and say, excuse me, if you have children, I'm looking for somebody to sponsor me into the room so that I can learn all of the things we're going to learn over the next 9 days. Come home and mentor your children in the same technology, in the same information, so we can integrate it into the family. Now, for most parents in the room, you probably already understand that you can't be a prophet in your own land. Most parents have a different energy around their kids in terms of relationship for education. Most kids are always trying to push back. But if they had somebody similar age or a little older as like a mentor that could actually integrate this into a family, they've spent 30 grand already, is it feasible that somebody could say, something, I'll do it? It's damn sight more feasible than saying, I don't know who you are, here's 3 grand. Anyway, 2 o'clock comes, doors open, we come in, it's a huge room about this size, and I look across and I see the kid, and he's jumping up and down, he's inside and he's wearing a name tag, and he comes running up and he gives me a big hug. And he says, I tried your strategy. He says, I didn't find one couple for 3 grand, but I found 2 couples in Florida for $1,500, both of them with kids that I can then go and mentor afterwards. And it's not rocket science. Again, is it making sense? Yeah? You don't need money, guys. You just need a better strategy. Ask how you can add value and put it together. Again, I could spend all day on this, but I've got so much more I want to give you and cover. Third competence. This is, again, another one of my favorites. Develop a core story. Don't sell your product. Biggest mistake that I see most business and company owners is that they try and sell their product to the marketplace, and I'll show you why you're wasting probably 97% of your money. I want you to imagine something. I want you to imagine you're in a giant stadium, and in that stadium are all of your ideal and potential customers. Yeah. For example, let's say you're selling cars, it's everyone with a driving license. Got me? And so you're there, and you have 60 seconds on the mic to pitch to all of your customers, right, 50,000 people, and you got one shot, one mic, 1 minute. Who's ready? Okay, one hand. few more hands went up after the first so they don't get picked. Yeah, okay, a few of you. Okay, well, let's make it a little more interesting. First, I'm going to ask you a question. What do you want to achieve? There's a difference here, my friends, between being tactical and strategic. I'll explain. Anybody here have salespeople that work for them? Okay, a few of you, excellent. If a salesman makes a sales call, what is the salesman's outcome usually, most of the time? To sell the product, generally speaking. Most sales guys, when they're making sales calls, are trying to sell because that's what they do. But that's a tactical approach. If you understand strategy, strategy will make tactics work 10 times harder. Instead of picking up the phone and trying to sell, ask yourself, what are my strategic objectives? What do I mean by that? Well, what else do I want to achieve over and above the sale? Do I want to build rapport? Do I want to preempt my competition? Do I want to set up for a referral program? Do I want to position ourselves preeminently? Do I want to set buying criteria for my industry? There's so many different things in terms of strategic objectives which your tactical sales script will then be designed around to support. Making sense? So what would you want to achieve? Far more than just a sale, right? Before I get into that, let me define the audience for any product or service, universally. This is the audience for any product or service. At any particular point in time, 1 to 3% of people are what I call buying now. In other words, if you all were in the market for cars, anybody here own a car currently? Anybody here currently in the market for looking for a new car? Okay, about 1 to 3% of the room. About 3 to 6% are open to it. Anyone here currently, they're not out there to buy it right now, but probably open to buying a new car at some point shortly, probably could be persuaded with the right offer came along? Again, look around. Numbers usually stack up. About 3 to 6%. 30% are not even thinking about it. Yeah, just not on their radar. They woke up this morning and buying a car just wasn't on their to-do list. 30% actually think they're not interested, and 30% are definitely not interested. And again, these are potential clients, so anyone that would own a driving license, for example. So if you were to put an advert, a full-page advertisement in a target market media, let's call it a car magazine, based on these numbers, how much money did you just waste? Anywhere between 93 and 99%. Even though they're people that are buying, that qualify to be potential buyers of your product. Yeah, I used to run a natural health company called the Worldwide Health Corporation, which I set up in '97. Sold it in 2004, I believe. Just been resold to another big health firm. And I would take vitamins, for example. I would sell vitamins and nutraceuticals, anti-aging products. And if I was doing a mailing list, even if I bought the most targeted, perfect client profile mailing list, and this is back, sort of before email, but it's about '97. If I was to buy the best the best mailing list, so people over 40 that had a history of buying nutraceuticals or vitamins through the mail, that had current ailments, that had a certain income bracket, you get my point? Even if it was perfectly targeted media, I'd still only be looking at the 1 to 3% that were buying now, and even if they're buying now, does it guarantee they're buying my product, yes or no? Of course not. So, in your stadium pitch, the majority of people are not interested. That's fact. Right? A good stadium pitch drives people up the pyramid. I want to show you how to do that so you don't waste 95% plus of your money when you're going to do your marketing. And first of all, now that we know what the deal is, I just want to make it really challenging for those people that are thinking that they want a chance with a microphone here. I told everybody in the stadium that they had to come today. Yeah, all of your potential clients had to be here, but if you're not interested, then you can leave. Who still wants the microphone? Okay. Gentlemen, have we got any mic runners? Where's my dynamic mic runners? Any mic runners running around the room? Mics. Can I have a mic down here? They've ran away. There. Okay, I tell you what. So what is your business? Just shout it out to me and I'll relay it to the crowd. International Property. Okay, what was your name? Scott, perfect. Scott from International Property. Other gentleman with his hand up, could you just approach stage for me, please, sir? Give him a hand, guys. Give him both a hand. Oh, give him a real hand, come on. Do we have any mics yet? No, working on it. What's your name, sir? John, and what's your business, sir?
I'm a motivational speaker and build great businesses.
Motivational speaker and build great businesses. I must take some notes. Please, come up. So, guys, if this is your potential audience, fabulous, we have a mic. Give the mic runner a hand. Excellent. Thanks, buddy. Are we on? Marvelous. So if this is all of your audience, potential audience, first of all, what is it you think you would like to achieve in the 60 seconds?
I'd like to get people to come to my website or come and find out more what I do.
Right, okay. Now, guys, everybody's always in the market for motivational speakers, otherwise you probably wouldn't be here. So I'm safe to say that you're probably a good audience. So here's the deal. What I'd like it to do is everybody please stand up for me, because I can't get you to leave the room because Greg would kill me. All right? So this gentleman's going to have 60 seconds, and if he doesn't engage you, as soon as you lose interest, I'm going to ask you to sit down. Your 60 seconds, sir, starts now.
My name is Johnny Eliadis. I'm a motivational speaker and I make people money. I take businesses to where they want to be and I make dreams come true. That's what I do for you. How much money can I make for you today? How many dreams can I make true for you today? You come and you see me and I guarantee you that I can change your life. I can take you, your team, your business beyond expectation. That is what I can do for you. Who wants to go to the next level? Who wants to be part of a team that can go further and get your dreams to come to reality? Who's up for it?
That was 35 seconds. Give him a hand. Thank you. Well done, sir. Okay. Now, we had about less than a quarter of the room still standing, but he did a reasonable job. Don't go yet. All right? And so you're International Property. Yep. Okay, so guys, back on your feet. Everybody here lives in a house, I'm guessing, of some description. And your 60 seconds, sir, starts now.
3 out of 4 South Africans are concerned about their future. In the last 20 years, our currency has continued to value by more than 5% every year against first world currencies. And yet, 80% of people that invest overseas actually lose money. Please contact me or go to our website, usainvestment.co.za, if you'd like a free report on the 5 things you need to know about creating wealth for your family, preserving wealth for your legacy, having a plan B, and most of all, having peace of mind for you and your family. Thanks.
Give me a hand. Outstanding job. Outstanding. Wait there, guys. Right. Now, did you notice there was a lot more people standing the second time round than the first time round? Well, you also noticed that for the first 30 to 40, 35 seconds, did he mention his business? Did he mention his product? Not at all. You see, in order to drive people up the pyramid, you need to open with something that engages them that isn't related to your product. Because if you start selling your product, even if you're a kind of person that buys it, how many people are definitely not interested, or not thinking about it? 90%. So if you open up by saying, even if you're a great speaker, even if you've got a huge amount to bring to the table, it's far different to turn around and open up a speech by turning around and saying, you know something? Right now, there is more people hurting based on lack of immediate income in today's economy than at any other time in history. But there is also more opportunity than any other time in history. The only difference is being able to educate people to close the gap between the desire that they have and the ability to make it happen. Who's still with me? You see the difference? Yep. You suddenly go from that rather than, I can make your dreams come true, I can, all that kind of stuff. We had a couple of days of that, all right? In terms of being able to lead from a place where you're not mentioning your product, but you're mentioning a challenge that people have, you can then educate them on how to solve. Very different. Guys, give these guys a hand. Outstanding hand. Thank you. All right? Well, the second gentleman was very smart. Again, he laid out the challenge. He was saying about what the state of South Africa is, about the currency reduction, about how most people who invest overseas lose because they don't really know what they're doing. All designed to set the buying criteria for something that then comes in at the end and offers a solution to that. You see, when I was with Worldwide Health, my vitamin company, what I would do, I knew if I sent out a brochure selling my product, between 93 and 96% of people would do what with it? Throw it in the bin. Even if it was the best mailing list, even if it was in the best magazine that was advertising to the best customers. Are you with me? Yeah, and what most people do is they focus on their product. Yeah, so not just that, if somebody picks it up off the doormat and all of a sudden it's double strength, multivitamins at half price on a special offer and any other kind of cheap stuff I can throw in there to try and persuade people to buy, if they're not buying now, if they're not thinking about it, it's a tough call. But instead, if something landed on the doorstep and you picked it up and it was a free report on the 3 most dangerous trends affecting households right now, especially children, who here would be more willing to read it? A lot more than 3%. And if you then started reading this and it using all different types of market data, all accurate, was to explain that the 3 biggest challenges right now to health in the household, one is indoor air quality, based on double glazing, central heating, causing higher incidence rates in asthma. Yeah? One was the food additives that are not on the label and the fact that even organic food these days can have some challenges, but predominantly most food that you buy normal off the shelf is considered somewhat toxic. And that the third challenge is the lighting indoors, the fluorescent lighting, and how it affects the immune system based upon increasing serotonin or decreasing serotonin levels. And if you started reading through this, and then short of having to go and live on a mountaintop and grow your own organic food, which isn't really an option for most people, it was saying the best way to actually combat this, the best way to preempt this, the best way to protect yourself is really by strengthening your immune system. How many people can see where I'm going with this? And the best way to strengthen the immune system is with the proper type of nutrition. And the kind of nutrition you want to look for is XXX, which is what you're doing, is setting the buying criteria for your product. Now, at this point, have I mentioned my product? No, not at all. Have I mentioned that I'm trying to actually ultimately sell you some vitamins from my vitamin company? Not at all. Because I'm leading with product. I'm not leading with product data, I'm leading with market data, and it's far, far more powerful. Yeah? So again, what are your strategic objectives or tactical objectives? The tactical objective is how do I make a sale? The strategic objective is how do I educate my customers in a way that allows them to make the choice themselves naturally for what it is that my product is. Because if I'm just putting money in advertising, I'm wasting my time. Yeah? Question. And again, guys, I could give you so many examples, and I'm so tight on time. I wish I could have all day with you, but that's maybe at another time. Question. Has so far been valuable? Yeah? Are we learning stuff? Brilliant. I'm going to keep my promise. Good. Okay, there's another thing I want to go through. I didn't think I'd have time, but I'm going to fly through it anyway because I really want to do this. The 4th competency, preeminence. The dictionary definition, superior to or notable above all others, / outstanding. This is the one strategy that I used to build several of my companies without spending money, without borrowing money, without going head-to-head with some of the biggest firms in the world that were in competition with me. And it's something that if you get this right, will transform everything. And I haven't really got time to show you, so what I wanted to do is just save you a little bit of a masterclass here. Go and get the book, Raving Fans by Ken Blanchard. That will teach you in a short book something which I'd probably take an hour on stage to share with you, but will give you just as good a job in your own time. Yeah, go to Amazon, go to your bookstore, do whatever. I'm not involved in royalties on this one. But if there is a book that sums up my attitude towards customer service, it would be Raving Fans. And I'm going to give you a quick example for Worldwide Health so you understand. We had a customer ring up. One of my girls answered the phone, and it was an old lady who says, excuse me, do you have anything for bruising? And our girl says, yes, at all, but please tell me, madam, what's the challenge? Anyway, it turns out she wasn't a customer, but she was an older lady, she'd fallen down the stairs, she got bruising all down one side. She didn't want to go to the doctor because she was on so many other prescription drugs that she knew something would contraindicate. Her friend was a customer of ours. She wanted to go down the natural health route. She said, yeah, she gave me a number, could I call, and do you have anything? So we explained we have a good product, and we explained the price, and it was a little bit pricey for us. So what my girl turned around and says, you know something, madam? Yeah, took her address. I'll send you a 7-day supply, complimentary. And that way you know that if it works, that's fine, and if you want to keep taking it, you can come back, but that way there's no risk. Anyway, fair enough. Hangs up the phone, instantly picks it back up, into Flora. A $30 bunch of flowers, and we then go to the card drawer, and in the office we had cards for everything. Obviously, we took a get well soon card, hand signed by everybody in the office, and we sent it off. Now, question, what did it cost me? Cost me a little bit of staff time, cost me 7 days worth of product, which is negligible. Cost me a $30 bunch of flowers and a $1 card. Woman calls me back, or calls the girls back next day, in tears. Never forget what she said. She says, you know, I never expected or received flowers from my best friend, let alone a vitamin company I never dealt with before. Now, thank you. Now, if I'd have taken that, say, $35, $40 and stuck it in a magazine, in an advert next to HealthSpan, what do you think I would have got? Wrong, but thank you for playing. Right? Nothing. This woman then came back and not only ordered the product, she ended up ordering $50 a month worth of product from us for the next 2 to 3 years, also recommended 10 to 15 friends. Over a period of the first 12 months, that $35 investment brought me back about circa $4,500. Easy call. Now, if she'd never called back, then it doesn't mean to say I'd be standing there and slagging her off. That's not the, What we're doing is adding value no matter what. If it doesn't come back from her, it'll come back from somebody else if that's where it's the genuine place it's coming from. Make sense? My health clubs, Energy. I built a chain of health clubs across Europe, which I started and founded in 2002. And I sold it at 27 clubs, I think, around about 2005. It's just opened its 100th club last year. Very proud of them. It's a great legacy, and they're doing really well. But I couldn't compete with the Fitness First and the David Lloyds because they had big budgets, and I didn't. But what I could compete on is preeminence and customer service. And so all of our clubs had a $500 a month, what I call raving fan fund, whereas for every single person, whether it was the gym manager or the manageress, the aerobics instructor, the beauty therapist, or the person that swept up the aerobic studio at night had authority without question to request $50 from the safe for solving guest problems. Now, when I first introduced that, my other directors looked at me and said, whoa, what do you mean? I says, trust me, right? Give it time. The hardest thing was to get them to spend it. I was like, if there's any money in the safe at the end of the month, I want to know why, because you're not looking for opportunities to impress enough. And examples. Guy walks in on his mobile phone through the turnstile. He's complaining to his friend that, he's just got a puncture in his car, and, he's all a bit, riled up about it. Our receptionist has top sensory acuity, as all of our staff were trained to hunt for opportunities to impress. He comes down an hour and a half later after his workout. I says, oh, Mr. Smith, I couldn't help but overhear that you had a puncture. And when you went to your workout, I went out, I saw in the car, it's obviously a nail, it's our car park, our nail, we'll take responsibility for that. While you were training, I had somebody come in, mobile quick fit, to change your tire, and we've washed your car. It's ready for you. The wow factor is what we were looking for, right? Guys, it cost $40. Again, if I'd have put that $40 in an advert next to Fitness First, what would have happened? It's not difficult, Massage therapist, off sick, woman turns up. Oh, Mrs. Jones, I'm very sorry, we tried to get hold of you, but your phone's been switched off. Unfortunately, your therapist isn't here today, she's sick. We tried to reschedule the appointments, we've rescheduled everybody else, but we couldn't get hold of you. So I'm very sorry, but the therapist isn't available. However, we've booked a massage for you at a rival health club just down the road, compliments on us, and there's a taxi waiting outside for you. $50. What is Mrs. Jones saying? right? Is she going to go down the road just because they've got a better treadmill? No. Most clubs trying to compete on equipment. They try and compete on the bigger, better, fancier. No. You compete on preeminence, you will dominate your competition, I guarantee you, and guess what? It costs virtually nothing. Yeah? Again, guys, I could give you 20 examples of that because that's my passion. Being able to, create value for people in a way that makes them think, wow. Right? Without having to spend money and fly them on Concorde and do any of that kind of stuff. Yeah? Is it making sense? Brilliant. I'm having to wrap up a little bit here, guys. Again, I wish I could give you more examples, but we're both running out of time. The good news is I am coming back. Again, I love South Africa, and I am coming back. And I just want to share a few more little things with you. I am doing a powerful 3-day business accelerator course. It is my passion. Yeah, building companies is what I do. You can probably guess I'm a little passionate about being an entrepreneur and the path that I take. It's going to be a step-by-step course that takes you through all 12 of the key competencies. And guys, if I can do what I do with you in an hour, trust me, in 3 days, I will blow you away. But I've got a few other things to share with you on that. I'm going to show you some easy ways to choose, buy, or start the right business, risk-free. I've done it more than a dozen times. Get what you want without spending money. I spent 10, 15 minutes with you today on capital versus initiative. If I was to spend 2 hours with you on that, going through 30 examples, I guarantee it would change every money you spent on marketing. Strategies I've used that have took companies from $0 to $1 million in 90 days. That's kind of what I was mainly known for in the UK, teaching business owners go from 0 to $1 million in 90 days. Why? Not because I'm clever, but I just think slightly differently to your average business owners you're probably starting to get. And most business owners, unfortunately, are so busy on the hamster wheel, they don't take time out to put different strategies in place to make that work. How to hire star performers for free. Another one of the things that I love to do. I've got a guy in England, his name's Chris. And I hired Chris, I convinced Chris to walk away from a £100,000 a year job to come work for me for nothing on a startup. It was in 2004 and I just literally lost everything. I backed a deal in 2003 where, unfortunately, I put all my faith in 3 partners that I learned a lot from in terms of what not to do. And it's very easy to make promises when you have nothing. Have you noticed that? But when money comes in, you see people's true values. Part of the reason for that is that, unfortunately, most people confuse their self-worth with their net worth. And the challenge there is that, it triggers the fear that we all have, which is the fear that we're not enough. Which means that if your net worth is threatened, then the fear is triggered. We'll do almost anything to avoid that. So one area where we compromise our values more than anywhere is usually around monies and finance, unfortunately. It's a whole other seminar, and I haven't got time to go into the depths, but I've spent the last 12 years of my life spending about a month at a time volunteering with, working with homeless, drug addicts, suicide, abuse cases, trauma, right up to $100 million CEOs who are usually drug addicts and suicidal, ironically. So I understand human behavior, and that's something which I wish, again, I'd spend more time with you on. But I hired this guy. His wife nearly killed him. Certainly didn't like me. Within 8 months of working for me, in his first year, he made £250,000 sterling. He bought his dream home, and as a thank you to me, he called it Sage House. And now his wife loves me, which is great. Unique strategies for getting fast results, the best way to choose and train the right people. I mean, HR is a nightmare for most people that don't understand people. And of course, it's never the person you hire that puts you out of business. It's what? The one you don't fire, right? How to design yourself out of the equation. This is something I'm very good with. My lifestyle is important to me. So I live in Dubai on an island in the shape of a palm tree. I like sunshine. I travel a lot with my lady. Lifestyle is important. For me, it was never always like that. I worked 130 to 133 hours a week in my 20s. Don't try that. And life, as I said, has a habit of nudging you if you're not listening. And I fell asleep one night driving home from the office at 2 o'clock in the morning and hit an intersection at 60 miles an hour, which woke me up. Luckily, I wasn't hurt too badly. The car wasn't very happy. But it really taught me something, sitting at the side of the road, asking myself questions. What am I really doing? Why? I mean, I'm building a monster that's trapping me, and that's not what I wanted to do. So I learned how to design myself out of the equation. See, when people start businesses, it's like a chessboard, and they're almost every single piece doing every single job. Until you get good at delegating, then you start becoming the king and having good soldiers and good pieces around you. But I'll teach you how to take it to a step further than that, which is how to step off the board completely and discuss the strategy on how to win the game. It's a far better position for an entrepreneur. Strategy versus tactics, we covered a little tiny bit on that. I do a 4-hour workshop on that will blow your mind. How to master the phone, most people have no clue. Dozens of case studies, examples on how to use it in real life, much more. And I almost didn't put this in, but I've been listening to you guys last couple of days, and you're a smart bunch. It's a unique course on quantum alignment. Scott said something. When he introduced me, he gave you a little insight into one of the projects that I spent the last 5 years of my life putting together, which is developing and commercializing a technology called space-based solar, which is effectively large sheets of solar panels in orbit transmitting energy wirelessly back to Earth safely, effectively for 24-hour solar panels, or 24-hour solar power to, replace oil, solve global warming, save the world, that kind of stuff. And, well, thank you. But and it's a huge project. We're raising $10 billion US. I spent probably £4 or £5 million out of my own pocket over the last few years building relationships with the governments around the world, including next door in Namibia as well. And there's just so much to that project. But one of the things that it has allowed me to do is mix with some amazing people, especially at NASA. A lot of the ex-NASA guys work for me. The ex-head of NASA for 16 years on risk assessment is my head of technology. And some of the stuff that comes out of there is spooky, right? It's phenomenal. But they're starting to understand at a level of quantum physics how to make things happen, not by using the way that we're used to, which is just get in there and force stuff to work and get creative, but how to have circumstances align with what it is that you're doing so that it becomes far more effortless. Again, it's phenomenal, it's powerful. I love to get involved. I've demonstrated it myself several times, and now I teach it as part of my course because I just can't not do that as a gift to the people there. Here's my most important message, guys. You've already invested 2 days, right? Come this far. Commit to something. I don't care if it's with me. That's not what it's about. But you've come in, you've taken 2 days out of your busy lives. You've seen a lot of different opportunities here over the last couple of days. Commit to something. If you don't have a spare 20, 30, 40, 50,000 US dollars in your pocket to throw at your own education to become financially free, then my goodness, guys, right? Do something about that. Fix it. Part of what I do is to get up and show you most of the mistakes I've made to learn what I've learned. But part of what I do is basically just turn around and say, hey, listen, if you guys could see what I see, you wouldn't be playing as small because you guys are amazing. That's my job. My job is to tell you that, to convince you that if I can hold up a mirror and show you the greatness inside each of you, you wouldn't be playing small. You'd be out there swinging the bat, and I know a lot of you are. But please, don't make today about me. I'll give you personal examples because I want to share with you that I'm coming from experience, not a textbook. Does that make sense? Right? But guys, there is nothing I can do here. I'm just a guy that dropped out of school at 16 and I'm made enough mistakes to try and keep his average number of tries high. Right? The talent I've seen in this room is incredible. You guys have no excuse for not going out and becoming millionaires in the next 12 months. Case closed. Case closed. Right? But pick something, take action, do something. If Forex is your thing, go play with Greg. If speaking is your thing, go play with Andy. If you want to learn business, etc., and do some of the stuff with me, come play with me. Whatever it is, but please do something because you're worth more than settling here for 2 days not doing so. Does that make sense? Hey, look, thank you. And please understand the most important question. The most important question is it's not what you do, but why you do it. I got into business because I was trying to prove to my parents I was good enough, prove to my teachers I was good enough. Some of us are still doing the same thing. Some of us are trying to prove that our ego is bigger than our bank balance. Some of us are trying to get involved in business because, it was something that our peers are doing and we felt that we had to, or we get involved in something because we felt we had the more certainty of doing it that way. There's something we were passionate about. Any parent that's forced their kid to become a lawyer, accountant, or a doctor will, if they have an honest conversation, will know exactly what I mean. So ask yourself why. I don't care what it is you do, but I do care why it is that you do it. And again, I spend a lot more time on the psychology when I come back. Don't ever confuse your self-worth with your net worth. That's huge. I've lost everything time and time again. But for me, it's a damn good excuse to go again. Because it's not the having it, it's the getting it. That's my passion. You know, you've never seen a hearse with a roof rack, right? You can't take it with you. In fact, the only people that tried that were who? The Egyptians. What happened? We dug it up and stole it. Right? So what does the game become? It becomes about how hard you can swing the bat and live your mission, give your gift, get out there, squeeze every drop and make your life something for you. Right? But the second you start confusing your self-worth with your net worth, you'll start becoming hesitant. You'll start tipping it a little bit at a time, and nature doesn't reward that. Be willing to risk letting go of what it is you're gripping onto and get what you want. I'm going to share a story with you. I've not shared it with an audience this size before, but I'm going to do it with you guys because I feel we've got a somewhat decent connection, and so far nobody's thrown anything at me. I don't actually have any family. Both my parents recently passed away. I've got no brothers, no sisters, no grandparents, no aunts, uncles, or cousins that I see on any kind of regular basis. And I've got a huge amount of friends around the world, which I'm very grateful for. But I learned a big lesson from my dad many years ago. My dad was a big, proud, powerful man. He died of a stroke 4 years ago. And his journey was one of wanting to be a proud and strong father, like I see many here in South Africa. But from that era, most guys made the connection that emotion equals weakness. Know what I'm talking about? So therefore, even though I'd always want to give my dad a hug, at best I'd get a handshake. And it wasn't the fact that he didn't love me, it was the fact that, you know, he had this belief system that is, you know something? No, as a strong dad, you know, I therefore can't show emotion. And I went away one time to a spiritual songwriting course in Vancouver, would you believe? And with an amazing guy called Edwin, who's Tony Robbins' voice coach too, good guy. And I asked Edwin a question one night. I'm like, Edwin, you know something? You put me in business or, you know, anywhere else, and I've got more determination, courage, resourcefulness, whatever it takes than anyone alive. You show me a problem, I'll destroy it. But when I'm with my parents, I don't have that. Why is it? And he asked me a question. He says, well, how do they hold your energy? Yeah? And he says, well, what do you mean? He says, well, how do they hold your energy? He says, well, I thought about it. I said, oh, yeah, they hold me as the little boy. You know, I could be 60 years old, they could be 90 years old, I'd still be the little boy. And anyway, I had a bit of breakthrough. I wrote this song, you know, about my dad, and anyway, I had this huge sort of awareness as to, you know, the whole relationship. I went back to England, I pulled up at my house, and the way my dad usually tried to build a connection with me was he'd be always fixing something around the house. You know, and I can get that relationship from a caretaker, but it wasn't what I wanted with my dad. But anyway, I pulled up at Leicester, my hometown, and there's my dad in my garage putting up a shelf. I says, Dad, I'm taking you out tonight, we're going for a drink. And even the place I was coming from was different. And I picked him up at 8 o'clock, I was on time for the first time in my life. And I started having this conversation with my dad, and basically I'm like, Dad, this is the relationship I want to have, this is what I do have. And he sat there for 2 hours like this. Very uncomfortable. And, you know, I'm like, I kept going. And after about 2 hours, he undid his tie and he relaxed down, and we started talking real. And we had a conversation that fundamentally changed the entire relationship. The relationship had been built on for the last 30 years. And I drove him home to a house that I bought for him, that the proudest thing I ever did for my parents was buy them a house each when they divorced. And I said, oh, by the way, Dad, I've also, you know, wrote a song. And I sat there and I sang him the song. It was called Father, Why Did You Stop Loving Me? And he started to cry. I've never seen my dad cry. And I managed to not cry until I'd actually finished singing. And he threw his arms around me. He said, don't ever think that I don't love you. And I said, can you remember the last time you hugged me? He said, no. And I gave him the date. It was 4 years before when I bought him his dream car, and, you know, in a fit of emotional overwhelm, he kind of threw his arms around me quick. But the one thing it taught me was you've got to be willing to let go. I almost lost my dad that night in my mind in terms of the relationship, but I kept going, you know. And if I hadn't have done that, the next 7 years he was alive, I'd have had a very different experience. I'm so grateful I got to do that. And if there's one message I can pass on, you know, from my dad, it'd be, you know, be willing to let go of what it is you think you're holding on to let go. You know, I love you, Dad. Thank you. Guys, thank you. Guys, we're running out of time. I've got a couple of minutes left. I'm just going to share with you this. Jump out of the plane, whatever it is. Yeah, jump out of the plane with whatever it is, the action you want to take, but go do it. Doesn't have to be with me, doesn't have to be with anyone, but I'm going to share with you a couple of things. Here's the dates that I'm back. Yeah, all dates until July are full. Yeah, places available 12th, 13th, 14th. The price, and this is my price, go to my website. I've never gone cheaper than this. It's $54. I've given a special price for 2 reasons. One is that I've known Greg for a long time. We're good friends. And the second is I love South Africa. And as you've heard before, a lot of the speakers, we want to inspire this country. You know, I'm doing it for $19,997. I've never done that before. I probably never will again. I'm not just saying that as hyperbole, but I want to give you something that allows you access to come see me and we can make this thing work together. It's 20% less the cost of hiring me for an hour. And I'll show you how to make that back before the seminar. I'll take the last 60 seconds to show you how. And that is, I've got a special gift I want to take with you today. It's the most powerful keyring you'll ever own. And on here is my best work. I spent some time putting this together for you. It's more than the course price. It's all of my best work, including all of my talks. I do a lot more than business. I do relationships, gratitude, leadership. Some of you know me, understand. There are 1,000 rand each. There's 11 on there, including a load of other stuff. All of my best business information and courses that I do, which is worth, again, more than the price of coming to see me. And yeah, my ultimate library for health, wealth, and happiness, which is my best 50 books, all on here. Everyone who wants to choose to come with me today, I'm going to give you one of these. Why? Because I want to demonstrate the fact that if you use this between now and July, I guarantee you'll make more than the cost of what it is you're paying today to come see me. That's my gift to you. It's about the only thing I can give you without being here or taking me home personally. Yeah? But that's here. I've got enough for everybody. There's no 50 left and all that kind of stuff. It's, you know, everybody that wants to come, please come grab one. You know? Okay, yes, I use this to make more money than the course price before I see you. That's what I wanted to basically give you because my time was so limited. Guys, thank you. Right, I hope it's the start of our journey together. All I want you to remember from today is no matter what happens, no matter where you go, please be the best you can be. Step out of the damn plane. Stay amazing. I love you, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you.